let me talk about fascists, because everybody likes to use that word. Even I've used that word on occasion. And there seems to be this almost cartoon mentality that modern fascists operate like in Castle Wolfenstein, and they do not. No real fascist is going to go around praising Hitler and talking about National Socialism. Fascists learned their lesson. Indeed, it worked for that time period. Hyper-nationalism worked extremely well given the economic and social disparities of that generation. However, things are different now, and so their tactics have changed and have their names. Whereas, apparently those that are anti-fascists have not. They have not learned their lesson, they have not learned how these people operate, and they continue to cling to the historical version of fascism, which has been greatly exaggerated, as opposed to what is really the case. And what's really the case is, most people are not fascists. They are reactionaries, they are counter-revolutionaries, but they are not fascists. Because in order to be a fascist, you have to have power. And most people do not have any kind of power. So, even ANCAPs and libertarians, who I despise, are not fascists. They might want to be, they might worship fascists, they might sit there and praise the name of whatever fascist comes to mind. But they themselves are not fascists, because they don't have power. They have no say in anything. So they are simply deluded peasants and workers. And that is what Marx labeled as the lumpen proletariat, the useless proletariat. The proletariat that's not going to stick his neck out for us, and he might as well just be buried with his fascist masters, the same way that many pets were with the pharaohs and kings of old. And then, of course, there are the more typical reactionaries that we think of in daily life, like liberals and conservatives, who, just given to the status quo, they might actually be a little more aware of it than your typical libertarian who believes his lies. Whereas conservatives and liberals realize that fascism is a thing, and realize it's not goose steps and swastikas, but they're okay with it anyway because they think the masters will work in favor for their beliefs, and it doesn't work that way. When Candy Cow reports my YouTube page, does he really think YouTube gives a fuck what he thinks? No! YouTube is not banning my accounts because of what Candy Cow says. YouTube is banning my accounts because YouTube wants to ban my accounts. YouTube has their own selfish motivations for doing that. Whether it just be the delight in raping me, whether it be because I say truthful things and they don't like that, whether it be they don't like the way I look, they don't like my neck beard, whatever. The point is, they have the power, they're using that power, and nobody is trying to stop them. That makes them the fascists. Another thing that makes them the fascists is they have so much power that they have influence without ever having to directly confront or in any way interact with people. Can you name a YouTube moderator? Can you actually name and give a face to a YouTube moderator? No, but you know that they're there, right? That makes them a fascist. They are a fascist organization and a fascist power structure. And they have all the cards. But meanwhile, idiots like Candy Cow Mark Anthony think they're doing fuck all by flagging my videos. They're not. They're living in a dream world. They're living in a dream world where they think that they can flag what they find to be inappropriate and moderators will work to their advantage. It doesn't fucking work that way. It never works that way. Moderators do not exist as a tool for your beliefs. Moderators are not there to be invoked upon at your will to suppress and censor other people. I mean, that looks bad on you. That says something about your character. But not only are you evil at this point, you're also really, really fucking stupid. Because that's not... They have no reason to. They don't need to listen to you. Not physically, not morally. They have no morals anyway, but what I'm saying is they do not operate on the basis of what you say goes. It's the other way around. So instead of worrying about flagging my shit, why don't you worry about the fact that all it takes is for a moderator to not like you, and you don't have your shit? I think that would be something to be more concerned about. But that's where the reactionary and counter-revolutionary part comes in. The fact is, you are a traitor to the working class. You hate yourself because you are of lower class. And you think that by kissing enough ass and worshipping long enough, you will become of higher class status. That never happens. Ever. At best, most people that get into the mid-level of the class war are most likely former revolutionaries corrupted and bribed into cooperating. A lot of people are, well-meaning, and then they see that most people aren't going to wake up. And so they accept the fact that things are the way they are. They accept the fact that there are faceless shadow masters that run everything and push everybody around. And they're content with the mid-management position, still leaving themselves vulnerable, but less vulnerable than you and me. And that's why I can understand the mentality of the reactionary, but by no means do I condone it, and never will. So, understanding all of that, if you want to know what a fascist is, you have to ask yourself, do they own or operate capital? Do they have the right to own or operate capital? No and no. Nobody has the right to use capital for themselves. Nobody has the right to monopolize capital. Capital belongs to the people, all the time. The fact that they do this is a fascist quality. Another fascist quality is they use this capital to oppress other people. It's not enough that they have more than somebody else. It's not enough that other people have to go without because of them. They have to go behind them and fuck them over even more. And above all of that is also the fact that the law does not seem to care. The law thinks that the internet is this imaginary fairy dust land of rape and honey. That, nothing applies to real life, even though they actually blatantly break federal law, tax evasion, conspiracy, fraud, money laundering, real tangible shit that goes well beyond anything I have ever said. There is no word in any language that can amount to the crimes that they commit on a daily basis. But the law doesn't give a fuck, because the law has got its own thing going. It's got its own shit it worries about, and it thinks that somehow the internet is separate from that, even though if it focused more on the internet, it would be a lot more functional, and the people would welcome government a lot more. So, all these factors combined is what makes the true fascist. A is A. Everything is something in particular and has a meaning. Everything is something in particular to what it is and gives it definition. And that, to me, is the definition of fascist. If you think fascism is just being racist or just being mean, then you need to expand your vocabulary, because there are far better words to describe that than a fascist. I'm done here.